with the Lakers. But like you said, it's a question of when and how. Him and his agent, I reported after the end of the NBA Finals, him and his agent, Rich Paul, were going to sit down and discuss different frameworks because there are several opportunities as far as contract length. Is he going to sign a 1+1, a 2+1, a 3+1? Could he go as much as a 4+1? I don't expect it to be a 4+1. So I would expect anywhere from a 1+1 or a 2+1 for Anthony Davis, maybe even 3+1. So he's got to have those discussions. I expect it to be after Thanksgiving. But he's going to be back. And like you said, they acquired Montrezl Harrell, Marc Gasol, Wes Matthews. Dennis Schroder was a major trade pickup for the Lakers. And so they've completely overhauled this roster. They didn't just run it back with the same group. Dwight Howard goes to Philadelphia. Danny Green goes to Philadelphia. Avery Bradley goes to Miami. So they've turned over this roster to try to really elevate it and make it better.
And Brandon, with all the moves that the Lakers have made during free agency, what says that they can contend for another NBA title?
Well, the two pieces that I focus on, Dennis Schroder gives them sort of a combination of what they needed last year. They needed more punch off the bench. They needed somebody who could go create offense, easy offense that didn't rely on sort of LeBron being full-time ball handler, playmaker extraordinaire for everyone. So Dennis gives them somebody that could play starter minutes, but probably comes off the bench and really hits hard. He also gives them a guy who can run some pick and roll and make plays for others, but is going to do things in transition and open it up. But I really love the Montrezl Harrell signing, which really speaks to the power of recruiting. When you look at that, I mean, he takes essentially $3 million more than he's made in his recent years with the Clippers, coming off really one of his best stints, sixth man of the year. Tremendous job by LA, aka LeBron and Rich Paul, to steal him away and give them a guy that can play the five every minute he's on the floor with Anthony Davis. We know that Anthony Davis really likes to be on the perimeter, kind of versatile scorer, but does not want to be a five. So this is really a perfect match, much more so, I think, than the large, lanky fives matching up with Anthony Davis that they had last year.
Atlanta Hawks, they were very busy during free agency, especially with all of that cap space. They were able to sign Danilo Gallinari, Bogdan Bogdanovic, Chris Dunn, as well as Rajon Rondo. However, let's focus on these two players right here, Gallinari and Bogdanovic. Brandon, how do these two players complement an all-star like Trae Young?
Well, good for the Hawks that they're going for it. I mean, there's been long talk about needing to bolster with veterans. This is a very cheap roster. In fact, they were in danger of not reaching the minimum salary as dictated by the CBA. So they had all sorts of flexibility to go out and make a move. Gallinari is going to put pressure immediately on the 4 and the 3 spot. So this is kind of a tip to their direction. There's no more free minutes for the young guys that are trying to develop. They're going to have to really earn it. Bogdan's going to put pressure on the 1 and 2 spot and the 3 spot. So let's just call it DeAndre Hunter, John Collins. These guys are not going to get free minutes. Herder. I like Rondo in the sense that he can be a veteran mentor to Trae Young. Not sure how many minutes he gets as a 1, and I don't know if you can move Trae to the 2 a ton given his lack of defense. My big concern, while they're going to have a veteran presence and more playmakers and shooting, is I don't know that it did a ton for them defensively where they really struggled, but they did enhance their overall IQ.
And Bogdanovic had a crazy week. Initially, reports came out that he would be headed to Milwaukee, but then that deal fell through. And then obviously now he's with Atlanta. Shams, walk us through how that deal went down with Bogdanovic.
So like you said, the talk around the league was that Bogdan Bogdanovic would end up with the Milwaukee Bucks on a sign and trade, that he wanted to play in Milwaukee, wanted to play with Giannis Antetokounmpo, but that deal got out there, and there was a better deal out there elsewhere, and it became in Atlanta. And 4 years, $72 million trumps the offer that the Bucks discussed with him to potentially go there. And now it really allows him to go play in a different city, and it really is a tale of two different scenarios. In one, the Milwaukee scenario, he had a chance to potentially compete for a championship alongside a close friend of his in Giannis. And then now in Atlanta, he's going to get an opportunity to play a lot and play on a team that's trying to get to the playoffs but is not quite anywhere near where Milwaukee is. So a few extra $1 million, but overall, Bogdanovic very likely would have ended up a buck, it seems, if it wasn't so known to everyone that was the plan 4 days outside of free agency. Hayward had really 3 destination points: the Indiana Pacers, staying with the Boston Celtics, or taking this big money deal with the Charlotte Hornets. And in his mind, he wanted to play in Indy, I'm told, and he wanted to find a way to get there. The problem was that the Pacers did not have the salary cap space to sign him outright. So it would have needed to take a sign-and trade facilitated by the Boston Celtics. And there was nothing that came about in discussions with the Pacers and the Celtics that made sense for either side. Talks were not fruitful, I'm told. And so he really looked at either the Celtics or the Hornets, and he had a late-night conversation with Michael Jordan before the start of the weekend that really propelled him in that direction to go sign with the Hornets on a 4-year, $120 million deal, being able to have more of a focus on himself as a leader of the offense, being a lead alpha player on both ends of the floor. Those are all appealing to him to go to the Hornets and not returning to the Celtics.
And Brandon, you heard Shams there talking about Gordon Hayward being an alpha player on this Charlotte team. How are you expecting him to fit in?
Well, I expect him to fit nicely. I mean, Shams is right. The Charlotte Hornets don't need a piece; they need a guy. As we refer to it, they need a real guy. When you change the narrative a little bit on Gordon Hayward, I mean, he had a tragic injury, but he recovered from that injury. I think he played 72 games the year after sitting out, and he started all 52 games that he played in last year. I mean, he's played high-level reserve and then starter minutes. So this is not a case of a debilitated player. And I think when you get past those injuries, the question about whether he's worth the money really shouldn't be there. Now, the big deal is that in order to acquire him,